Now we come to the seventh cognitive skill, which is an ability to draw conclusions. You know the word conclusions. When you studied composition, you were told that the composition has three parts: the introduction, the body of the development, and then the final part. The final part where you draw conclusions or the results, the ultimate results. So sometimes in comprehension exams, you are asked to read the passage, then to give conclusions. The eighth cognitive skill is the ability to see a relationship between parts of the passage and the whole passage. Well, there are many types of relationships that might be available in any passage or composition or essay. For example, the parts that I've just mentioned in the ability number 7, the introduction, this is part, the body or the development, this is part, then the conclusion, this is part. So you might be required to give the introduction or give the general idea mentioned in the introduction, or to distinguish where is the body or the development of the passage. So here you can know and distinguish and identify the parts of the passage. Another relationship, sometimes when you have causes and effects, in one part of the passage, the cause of an action may be given, and in another part, the effect of this action is given. So you might be asked, where is the effect or the result of the cause mentioned in or of the action mentioned in the first paragraph of the passage? The ninth ability or cognitive skill is the ability of transfer. We talked about the transfer and the transcode when we were talking about techniques. You remember? So transfer is generally means when you take something from one place to another, from one location to another. So what do you take and from where to where? For example, you might be given a passage, and under this passage you are given a diagram or a chart or a table or a grid. You remember the grid, the boxes? And you might be asked to take certain information from the text to the diagram. This is it. This is also a cognitive skill. The 10th cognitive skill that you are using during doing the exercises in comprehension is the ability to predict. Predict means expect. يتنبأ. Where is this? For example, the student may be required to predict the end of the story told in the passage. Sometimes passages have open end. It is left for the reader to predict or imagine the end. In such passages, if you are being examined, I may, for example, give you such a passage and ask you to predict the end. What would happen on the end? This is a prediction, تنبؤ. The 11th ability is the ability to understand pronoun reference, الضمير وعود الضمير. And this is many times occurring in exams. For example, the student may be asked to say who is meant by he or she or them or their or his. This pronoun refers to whom. For example, in line number 9 or line number 4 in the passage, you are given a certain location in the passage where a pronoun is mentioned, and you are asked to identify who is meant by this pronoun. The last cognitive ability you have is the ability to understand the communicative value or the function of the text. Well, sometimes passages convey a moral lesson or an advice. So you are asked, what is the value? What is the lesson mentioned in this passage? For example, it tells you to leave or to quit a certain evil characteristic throughout the events of the passage. Now we come to the choices of the text. If you are a teacher and you would like to examine your student in comprehension, can you take any text? Are you free? No, you are not free. There should be certain characteristics available in the text. 1. The text should be authentic. Authentic means reliable. Authentic in its language and in the information mentioned in the passage. It should be trusted. Secondly, the text should be brief, because if it is too long, it would be tiring for students. But it should be enough, and there should be sufficient information to get at least 5 or 6 questions, that is items, in your test paper. The third characteristic is that the information mentioned in the text should not be known by all people.